that's how I look at food now, is that food is fuel for my body, not something yummy to eat.
Christy, how did you find carnivore?
Well, I started with keto. I started 2 years ago. If I can back up just a little bit, I'm 44 right now. When I was 38, I had a heart attack and I had a stent put in. They said that one of my veins had collapsed, and they also told me at that time that I was a type 2 diabetic. And I was about 200 pounds, and they gave me a bunch of medication and said, just take this, not eat better or lose weight or anything. It was just take these medications. And I was on 2 shots of insulin twice a day at 40 units each. And my sugars were between 300 and 500. That was where I was staying at normally, which is absolutely terrible. And I said, there's got to be something that I can do. And I thought I was eating healthy. I was eating, I never ate white bread. It was always wheat bread, everything I thought that I was doing correctly. But I could never lose weight. I could never feel great. And I heard about keto and I was like, well, that's interesting. You know, I knew that sugar was bad. And then I learned that carbs were the same as sugar. I said, well, I'll just cut all that out. And 2 years ago, I just quit cold turkey. I woke up one morning and said, I'm just not going to eat sugar anymore. And I took my A1C from a 15 to a 7.5 in a couple of months. It was it was really shocking and really, really cool. And I just started shedding fat. Just, I lost about 30 pounds really fast. And then I was listening to Jordan Peterson, and he was talking about his daughter, Michaela, and how she had all of these health issues. She had autoimmune issues, and she ate only meat. And I was like, well, that's kind of weird, because you're always told, don't eat red meat. It's bad for you. And I've been learning that people lie, especially people in power in the government and these big corporations. They want to make a profit. And so I said, well, let me try that. And I looked around for a local farm because I wasn't going to do grocery store meat. And I found a farm and I went and I just jumped in both feet. It was a little over 3 months ago. And I haven't looked back since. I absolutely love it. I eat meat, a little eggs, and a little bit of dairy, and that's it. I haven't gone back. I've eaten vegetables a few times since then, but the weird thing is that when I eat vegetables now, I get sick. So I don't eat them anymore, even though Brussels sprouts, asparagus, I loved them, but I won't touch them now. I'll cook them for my husband because he'll still eat them, but I won't. So that's how I found carnivore, and I've lost over 80 pounds since the start of my journey, and I've reversed my type 2 diabetes. I had PCOS. I don't take any medications anymore. I'm off of everything. I can remember things. I don't have that brain fog anymore. And one of the things that I decided to do was I started a little YouTube channel of my own. It's very, very small, but just sharing my journey and recipes that I find to try and help other people because, like you said, the more people hear from people who have done it and who have results, you know, the more people are likely to give it a try.
Yeah. Um, so congratulations. But first, I just want to touch on it must have been a shock to have a heart attack at 38 years old.
Yeah, I didn't even know what it was. I was at work and I felt weird. There was no left arm pain. There was no heaviness in my chest. I felt like I wanted to throw up. And my boss said, do you want me to take you to the hospital? I said, no. no, I'll just go to the doctor's office down the road. And I went there and they took all my vitals and they said, "Oh, you're fine." They were going to send me home. I was going to go home and take a nap. And there was one nurse there who said, "There's something wrong with this girl. You gotta check something. You gotta do some other kind of test." So they gave me an EKG, and when the lady read the printout, she ripped it off and ran out of the room and came back and gave me a nitroglycerin pill to stick under my tongue. She said, "You're having a heart attack. We've called you an ambulance." They said it was from stress because my artery had collapsed, and they couldn't even get a vein to be open enough for them to get anything. I mean, they poked me all over my arms trying to get something in me. They kept putting pills under my tongue in the ambulance, but they said I had minimal heart damage from it. So
Mm.
I'm grateful for that.
Wow. And congratulations on the results. You've reversed type 2 diabetes. What's your A1C now?
I haven't been to the doctor because we've moved, but last time I went, it was at a 7. So that's something that I do wanna go and get it checked again because I'm really curious to see where it's at now because I do still check my blood sugar almost every day and I stay between about a 120 and 130.
So, specifically in the last 3 months, have you noticed any changes going on to carnivore? What has improved from just being keto?
Well, for one thing, the my skin quality has gotten so much better. I also make my own tallow balm using just beef fat. I've quit wearing any kind of makeup. I don't have dark circles under my eyes anymore. I've had bald patches on my head for years and I mean the hair is starting to grow back, which I mean I've been self-conscious about that for at least 15 years. I know cuz I did not like fat. I would not eat it. I would give it to my husband, I'd give it to my cat, but I would not eat it. And now I'll fight you for that fatty piece of meat.
So that raises the question about your husband. Is he following you on this, or is he just doing a regular diet? Is he keto?
Well, he follows me pretty much. I make sausage patties for him to take to work with him because, I'm worried about his health too. I want to keep him around. So he eats basically the same as I do. We just have like some canned vegetables and stuff that, you don't want to waste it. So every now and then he'll have, some corn or, I'll make him a taco bowl when I have a burger. So, but he eats basically the same, just with a few added vegetables.
And how often are you eating during the day, and what kind of meals is that? That's basically ground beef, or you eating steaks and stuff like that?
I eat a half a pound of ground beef. I'll make that into a burger patty, and that'll be my lunch. And then for dinner, it's either a roast or another burger, maybe a pork chop, but I try to stay away from pork as much. I want to stay almost 100% beef. My husband, he loves his pork and especially his bacon, which he can have that. That's fine. But yeah, I make my own bone broth, so I'll do soups as well in there with like a London broil in there. But yeah, mainly I do eat a lot of ground beef, but I also make sure that I add in my tallow and with it to get that good fat. I try to keep about 65-35 ratio between fat and protein because that's the only thing that I monitor with my eating. And I've been finding out that I eat way more than I used to. I did a an experiment on myself because I was trying to tell my cousin that calories aren't a thing, that they really don't mean anything, that they're heat. They're not, a unit of measurement for losing any kind of weight. And I said, well, look, supposedly I'm supposed to eat 1,200 calories a day. That's supposedly my metabolic rate. I said, I'm eating like 16, 1,800 calories and I'm still losing weight. My goal was to be 120 pounds. I hit that and I've kept going even though I'm eating a lot more. It's really weird.
And so what did your cousin kinda understand, or was that just too much information, or
No, she's following along on the same kind of path. She's far away from me. She's in Oklahoma, and I'm in North Carolina. We see each other maybe once a year or so, but she wants to get healthy too. And seeing the results that I've had, she is totally on the wagon. And every time I come across a new bit of nutritional information, she's the first person I share it with because I'm like, ooh, Katie's got to know this. She's going to want to hear this. Because, I mean, there are so many lies out there and it's hard to differentiate between who's telling the truth and and she knows I'm not going to lie to her. If I do find out that what I've told her is incorrect, I'll go back and correct myself because I want her to be healthy too. I want everybody to be healthy.
well, that's great. So, like, how is everyone else, around you? Like, what are their reactions to you eating this crazy diet?
Well, people are like, you don't eat vegetables, and I'm like, no. They're like, do you need to take supplements? Like, I don't take any. The only supplements that I do take, I take a little bit of iodine in my coffee every morning. I do 3 drops just because I know that I'm a bit iodine deficient. And even though I'm eating real food, the soil that, the grass that the cows are eating doesn't have that iodine in them anymore. So I do add that back in. But other than that, I don't need any other supplements. I get all the vitamins that I need from the meat that I eat. And another thing that people think that's weird is they're like, well, don't you need to eat fiber? And he's like, no, no, you don't need fiber either. My mother-in-law thought I was a little nuts at first, but you know, she couldn't eat the same way she said, but she doesn't give me any flack for it, and she supports me 100%.
Yeah, the fiber thing is something that really messes with people's minds because all your life you've been pumped with that same information. It's just like you need fiber. Fiber is going to make you regular. Fiber this, fiber that. And then when people find out that you're consuming zero fiber, it's just like this is I can't imagine this.
Yeah, it's really crazy. It blows people's minds every time I bring that up. They're like, "Well, don't you need that to be regular?" It's like, no, I'm quite regular all on my own, thank you. In fact, I'm better now than I was before. I used to have issues with constipation, and I don't. I mean, almost on a whole spectrum, I'm like 100 times better all the way around than I used to be.
What what is it like being in a situation now where I guess say 3 years ago,
Hmm.
um, you were eating a regular diet and you were probably doing a lot of snacking and that kind of thing. What is it
Yep.
like for you now in a in the place where you're at where it's like there's no need to snack. There's no feeling about oh, I've got to go in the kitchen and get something.
Well, if I do feel like I have to snack, I make my own jerky. I use Eye of Round and make my own jerky. And if I'm going out somewhere where, there might be other people eating or something, or I might want something if I'm going on, on a road trip or something, I call it my pocket jerky. And that's my snack, that or a hard boiled egg. And that's all I need. The one thing that I have learned is that the substitutes that a lot of people talk about, especially on the keto diet, oh, well, you can, make your own pasta out of vegetables or something. And that's, I think, a big pitfall for people is don't you can't try to substitute to eat the way that you used to. You have to totally change everything that you look at about food instead of eating food because it tastes good or oh I really like cake. I mean, who doesn't like cake? But instead it's well I eat because I need to get my protein, I need to get my fat. That's that's how I look at food now is that food is fuel for my body, not something yummy to eat.
Interesting how your perspective changes on that, right? Like food is no longer entertainment, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. And I've learned, I mean, there are some things I've made what I call cloud cake using eggs and cream cheese. And man, I'm going to make that at Christmas when other people are having, cakes and pies. And I'm going to have my cloud cake because to me, that's even better. I love it.
How are you now with meds? Are you on any meds still?
I am off every single medication. I was on a couple of different heart medications. I was on metformin as well as insulin, and I am not on anything anymore, not a single thing, which I'm very, very happy about. I was lucky enough, we were living in West Virginia for a time, and this was when I was starting the keto journey, and I went to a doctor who actually was really good and was very happy that I wanted to get off medications. He wanted to put me back on metformin because my A1C was still above a 7. And I said, I don't want to do that. I said, I've gotten it down this far. I think I can keep going.
So if a friend came to you and wanted to get started with carnivore, what advice would you give them so that they can do it successfully?
Well, the first thing that I would say is to start a little bit slowly. Don't just drop everything and go straight carnivore because it could, especially if you're eating a high carb diet, it could mess with you where you'll get what they call the keto flu, where your energy drops and you don't feel well at all. So I would just start weaning yourself off of everything and start eating more meat until you're comfortable to go completely without anything other than meat and finding excuse me, different ways to make foods that are good. They're exciting for you. I made mozzarella stuffed meatballs the other day, and they were really good. And I make my own mayonnaise because regular mayonnaise has seed oil in it, and that stuff is poison. And just there are little things you can start little by changing little things until you can get it all out of your system. Because when you're trying to detoxify from all of the crap and poison that you've been eating, it there is a process to it. And I don't want anyone to say, "Oh, I'm going to go carnivore," and jump right into it and go, "Well, I feel like crap. I'm not going to do this anymore." Because you will feel better, but it will take a little while. I ate terribly my whole life, and it took a couple weeks to start feeling better. I mean, the meat tasted amazing. If you can get fresh meat, real meat, I would really suggest it. If you can't, you can use the stuff that you can buy at like Walmart, but the taste difference is amazing. It is really, it's the best food I've ever had. And I go to that farm every weekend. I'll be going there tomorrow morning. It's the best stuff I've ever had.
Um, how would you address the claim that a lot of critics have of carnivore that it's too restrictive?
I don't feel restricted at all. I can make all sorts of things. And if I want to make cookies, I make meringues out of egg whites. I mean, I can have, I still drink coffee. I can have any kind of meat I want. I don't feel restricted in the slightest. And I mean, if I'm going out with someone to a restaurant, I don't have to feel like, well, I can't go because they won't have something for me. I'll just tell them I'm allergic to vegetable oil and my steak has to be made in fried in butter and, no sides. So I can still do things and go places, and I don't feel restricted at all. I think that we have become so used to having such a wide variety of things using all of the, a million different ingredients and things. Another thing that I did is I got rid of a whole bunch of cookbooks because I don't need them. I'm not going to be using them. So I've been, giving them to Goodwill because, I'm making my own cookbook of my own recipes that I enjoy that are good and healthy. And I mean, yeah, I eat a burger every day, but it doesn't seem boring to me. I like it, and I don't feel bad about giving bits to my cats either. My cats will come, especially if I'm making heart steak. My cat Freya will come and sit right at my feet in bed because she loves heart, and I don't feel bad giving her little bits of that either because I know it's good for them too.
So, Christy, is there a way that people can reach out to you? Do you have any social media or any other contact way?
I do. I have a little YouTube channel, and that's Christie spelled with an E. So it's Christie, my name, and then in parentheses spelled with an E. I'm an I love books, and I was a big Anne of Green Gables fan, and it was Anne with an E. So that's why I put an E on the end of my name because I had to be different from every other Christie out there. You can also find me on Instagram the same way, Christie with an E. And yeah, if people want to reach out to me, please do. I would love to talk to people and help anyone out there who is, interested in giving this a try or is struggling or just needs another person in their little troop of carnivores.
No worries. Well, I'll link to those below. Thank you so
All
much for coming on today, Christy, and sharing your story. I really appreciate your time.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm so glad to be able to do this.